please turn off your cell phones. Please, 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 not vibrate, just turn it off. If you're expecting a phone call, maybe keep it on your knee so it can light up and let you know, but I am easily distracted, so be kind. Thank you. I would love for you to take a look at the third page in your program. There's a list of upcoming concerts in the concert series. There are brochures right out in the hallway. If you want to ask more, we'd be happy to tell you, but I will move on for today. I want to mention our generous sponsors. On the back, Sunshine Child Care, my own daughter's business, that is going on right now for 2 wonderful little pots, so the parents can enjoy the concert. And Bill Griffin, who goes to our church, a wonderful guy. He has great business for financial planning, so please consider them if you would need that kind of service in the future. And then I would like to invite you to the reception afterwards, downstairs. There will be more than just store-bought cookies, I promise, so it'll be worth your time. I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm playing, and I don't want it to be a lecture. I want this to be me sharing the music, because that's really what's going on. I just want to share the music. I don't want to perform tonight. I'll share the music, so bear with me. This is a really beautiful occasion. We remove the barrier of the concert stage, and we're able to communicate directly with each other. And this is in the tradition of something called the Schubertiads, and they were wonderful social gatherings that the salons of 19th century Europe and 19th century America knew very well. People would get together and they would make music and they would socialize and they would talk and they would have food, and it was all just a wonderful event in their life before video games and movies and other such things. They actually communicated with people. And I think it's wonderful that we've kept live performance, but when you go to see a concert and the stage is all the way over there, it's still not quite the same. So I'm hoping that with this series we can get back to making music very presently, very directly, and enjoying it together. So I thank you all for coming and supporting. So these gatherings, named after Franz Schubert, the composer who essentially brought these gatherings to the forefront of society, would bring people together and have refreshments and make music. Some of the people that were in these events were some of the most wonderful composers in history. People like Franz and Frederick Chopin would rub elbows and sit together and drink a cup of tea. And it's hard to imagine these people as real people, but they were. I was reading a book about Liszt, and he was so familiar with Chopin, and Chopin was sort of frail and in stature, but he called him Chopinette. Chopinette. We're thinking of the thundering music that Chopin wrote. It's hard to imagine him as Chopinette, but anyway. First piece on the program, the wonderful Haydn Sonata. I want to tell you a little bit about it after I thank my wonderful cohort over here. It should have been her at the piano tonight, but she worked too hard, and so her arm needs some healing, and we're going to let that happen and try to get her back here when she is all well. But she said, and I quote, "My left arm still works, so I can turn pages for you." Well, that was funny. All right. About the music, I decided that I did not want to miss this opportunity to share music with you, even though we just found out about the change of plans about 10 days ago. And I have lots of old friends, lots of music that I've played for a long time and I can pull out relatively quickly. I have had some of these friends for a really long time, so they come back quickly. I've cherished the opportunity to put music back on the forefront of my daily activities because there was a deadline, so I had to practice. Usually I do other things that are more pressing, and I don't allow myself time to just play unless I have a deadline, and here's the deadline, so that's been wonderful. It's it's a sort of a risk that we're taking, all of us today, because I know and I love these pieces deeply. My fingers may be in a little bit of a fog every once in a while, so I'm grateful that you are here and taking this risk with me, because I don't want to perform, I want to share this music with you. It's some music I love most, and I'm grateful to you for taking that risk with me. I think the beauty of the music is worth it. So, about Haydn. Imagine the funniest person you know. I want you to do that. Think of the person that you know that is funniest in your life. Those of you who know my husband, yeah. Now imagine that person with a wig living in 1770. That was Franz Haydn. The man had an incredible sense of humor, okay? Just everything was funny to him, and he was a joyous, wonderful man, wrote wonderful music. But what I want you to think about when you're listening to this piece, the first movement and the third movement, there are like 3 chapters of this piece. First movement and the third movement are fast and fun, and allow yourself to be surprised, because sometimes things just get going and you feel like you're on this ride, and then suddenly everything stops. Like, what, did she forget what she's doing? No, really, he puts just grand rests in there, and sometimes these wonderful crescendos, and we're about to get to, oh, never mind, we're not going to do that. So just allow yourself to enjoy the journey, because it's winding, and if you let your heart discover it, it's really quite funny. The middle movement, the second movement, is slow, and it reminds me in a way of a garden. I think in modern society we've forgotten how to take things slowly enough to enjoy the little things. So I want you to imagine yourself in a beautiful garden, whatever your favorite type is, if it's classical, very neatly trimmed, or whether it's romantic and somewhat overgrown and wildlike. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden, and let the music guide you to what you might be encountering in that garden, because there's so many little treasures. I hope you enjoy.
Get the laser out. Get the laser out.
But normally I would play the next set of pieces without interruption, because they do flow beautifully from one to the next, and they're not quite long enough to stand on their own. But I have fun things to say about each of them. I know you're delighted that I'm going to tell you more stuff. The first one is this absolute gem that I found. I was looking for hymn arrangements, and no offense to my many church friends here, sometimes hymn arrangements are just really bad music. Just really bad music, and those people should just not. The hymns themselves are generally wonderful, but the arrangements, not so much. So I found this really wonderful gem on Amazing Grace in the style of Mozart. So those of you who know Mozart and just this sparkling, ethereal stuff, you're going to recognize it's very much in that style. And so I couldn't resist playing it, and I generally would say that anybody who tries to copy Mozart is not going to be successful, but this was pretty good. I want to say two things. One, my dear daughter is not here, but the piece before that, the Haydn, the first movement is her favorite thing that I play, so that one is for her. This one coming up, Amazing Grace, is for Megan, because she is a wonderful friend that I've made at church at St. John's, and you have been a true blessing in my life. So this one's for you. illustrator, composer, and teacher, and many other things on top of that, including church music director and was band director, and she can just do it all. But she wrote this lovely little piece, and she gave it to me years ago, and it kind of sat in my folder waiting its turn. I never actually took it out of my folder, so there's that. But I waited way too long before I actually learned it, and it's a lovely little nocturne, and it's called Sola Rosa, one rose, a single rose. And I did not know, I've played this piece before, I did not know until yesterday when she shared the story about this piece. It makes it so much more meaningful than even before. This is a part of her life that started as a composition project when the composer just threw up some notes on the board and said, here, do something with this, sort of to inspire her. And it grew out of there, and I think it grew beautifully. But it signifies a pretty dark time in her life of great struggle, both in her marriage and with a miscarriage, and time when she went to teach a new school and was struggling with a lot of things. And she says there was a kindergartner who came and knocked on the door and brought her a single rose to welcome her to the school. She said that was a break in the clouds. So, Sola Rosa. liked. And so I want to dedicate this to my mom, because she's the one that started me on this journey, and she's the one that has loved me through it all. So to you. Lovely 1-minute-long Brahms Waltz. He doesn't write a whole lot in there, but every note is laden with beauty. It's one of my favorite pieces to play, and it's because this is one of those things that speaks volumes in a short amount of time about love and beauty and life. And I want to dedicate this one to my dad, because he was the first person to teach me the beauty of loving deeply and the courage of being vulnerable.